Everybody, we're just waiting for people to begin to join the webinar here tonight. So we're going to be starting in just a couple of minutes. Looks like we're starting in about 4 minutes. So looking forward to having some time with you tonight and talking about digital transformation for business owners. It is absolutely the topic that I am energized by talking about. So I am looking forward to spending some time with you tonight. And we'll be starting in just a couple of minutes. Looks like we have people joining the webinar from all over the world right now. Last few times we've done this, we've had people join us from Asia Pacific, and that was in the South Pacific and in the North. And looks like we have some people joining us from Canada and in North America and also in Latin America. I know the time that we chose this webinar tonight was specifically for those of you that are in time zones in the Asia Pacific region. And so looks like if we have anybody join us in the EMEA region or in the Middle East, it'll be in the middle of the night. So it looks like right now that we're getting ready to start, and we got about 3 minutes, and we're going to get going here at this time. But tonight this is part of the Digital Transformation Knowledge Series, and we've been doing different webinars, about different subjects on digital transformation. We've done them on digital transformation for airlines. We've done them on digital transformation for MROs and software companies, and we focused on sales mastery in aviation, focusing on digital transformation for sales companies. And tonight we're focusing on digital transformation for business owners. Now, what is that really? I'll get into that in a little bit, but it's a bit of a combination of a number of the webinars that we've done at this point. It's a bit of a combination of the business mastery in aviation and the sales mastery in aviation combined to be digital transformation for business owners. But it's all part of our digital transformation knowledge series, and really trying to work with the industry to bring people into digital transformation. So I'm really hoping that you're going to get some things out of tonight's webinar, because really looking forward to it, because I got a lot of really interesting things to say, and we've put together a good program here tonight. So just a couple of minutes, we're still letting people join. Hey, we're also live on YouTube, and so if you want to share the YouTube link, I'd really appreciate it. So if you're watching on YouTube tonight, just go ahead and share that link out so other people have an opportunity to see it, and that'll be great. So we get even more audience on the webinar here tonight. So we're on this closed webinar, which is on a Zoom session by invite only. And then tonight we also opened it up to YouTube. So if you've actually subscribed to our YouTube channel, then you'll be able to get it. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, you should go there. You should go to youtube.com and go to #digitalaircraft. And that's our YouTube channel. And you will be notified of new videos that come out and of webinars and different things that are coming up, as well as through the traditional channels that we have of doing it through email and through messaging and LinkedIn. We've done a lot of messaging and contacting people through LinkedIn. That's one of the main ways that we reach out to people and they find out that we're having these webinars. But hey, you're going to enjoy this tonight in just another couple of seconds here. We're actually going to get going and jump right in on the webinar tonight. Focus again is going to be on digital transformation for business owners, part of our digital transformation knowledge series. It's like we've got a really great crowd, on the webinar here tonight. And so just remember, as we get going in just a couple minutes, if you have questions, go ahead and throw them out there, and we'll try to address the questions. And you can also put them in a chat session, and we'll do our best to address them during the webinar or toward the end. So it looks like we are ready to go. So we're going to jump right into our webinar tonight. So that brings our music down. And I wanted to tell you again that I really wanted to thank you for joining us tonight in our digital transformation for business owners. And like I had said, it's a combination of our sales mastery in aviation and our business mastery in aviation with some special emphasis on digital transformation for business owners. And so if you're joining us tonight, I want to thank you. And if you've watched our webinars in the past, thanks for coming back. And if you've never seen them, I hope you enjoy it and you get a lot of value out of tonight's webinar. And let's see, we got a lot of people in the APAC region. Thank you for joining tonight. It's a really good time. It's mid-morning to morning for them right now. And it's 6 o'clock when we're getting going here in Seattle, 8 and 9 o'clock here in the United States. And for Latin America, it looks like we got a little bit later for some of those people. So we're just going to jump right into this. So here we go. Really excited. Welcome to the Digital Aircraft webinar tonight. And, I wanted to start out by really identifying really what it was that digital transformation is. From our perspective, I just jotted this down. And digital transformation really is a rethinking of how a company made up of people, processes, and technology will change the performance of a business. So we continue to key in on people, processes, and technology as being the core elements of digital transformation. So you're going to find out tonight that as we start to talk about digital transformation, that those are really going to be the three of the four cornerstones that we focus on. And then the special emphasis tonight that we're going to have for business owners is that we're going to talk about both internal digital transformation, internal to your company, to your business, as well as understanding digital transformation at the customer, because it's really important to understand digital transformation at the customer, but it's also required to understand digital transformation internally so that you can leverage that to create success in your business. And so those are really the things that we're going to focus on. Hey, I want to start out just by, when I begin this webinar, I just wanted to tell you is that, there's been a lot of factors over the years that have caused digital and digital transformation and moving forward in digital to make it very difficult. I mean, there have been, I've been in this industry for almost 40 years. And for 20 years now, it's really been difficult really to achieve the successes that we wanted to in digital transformation. And there's many reasons why. And I just wanted to tell you is that, it's not your fault. I mean, things in the past, maybe you've tried and they haven't been completely successful, or maybe they haven't achieved the full successes that you want, or maybe you've been skeptical about the ability to be able to do this. We're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about, what's different and why it's different. And, I just want you to understand is that you may have done some things in the past that have not been successful. And I hope to convince you tonight that things have changed, that circumstances are different and the time is right for digital transformation, both internally in your business and with your customer. And so, we believe that it's going to help you and your business to be more efficient, and it's going to help you to understand your customer better, to be able to sell more into the customer. And those are the things we're going to talk to you about tonight. And, it's okay to be suspicious about success, and, you need to do your homework. You need to do your research and understand everything that you do always. I mean, if you're a business owner, you have moved forward with risks in life, and you're good at assessing risks, and you're good at understanding, whether it's appropriate to take a risk or not. And, it's okay. That's good. All right. Now, in the past, there's been people that have gotten in your way of being successful. Maybe there's people that didn't believe that you could be successful, or that your business wasn't going to work, or maybe there was competitors that got in the way because they were doing things different than you, or maybe better than you, and maybe regulators got in your way, or maybe investors held you down, or maybe you didn't have money. And, there's a lot of things that have gotten in the way. And, let's cast those off here tonight. And let's focus on digital transformation and what the current environment is today. And, you went into business because you wanted to be successful and create, your own business, or you worked with partners to be able to create business. And so, I want to encourage you is that this is the place to learn about digital transformation and businesses and how it applies to us in business. So I'm going to be focusing tonight on people, processes, and technology, and how internally and externally, focusing our customer and ourselves internally, that we can create success and that we can change the world. Here at Digital Aircraft, you might think, well, change the world. What do you mean? Hey, at Digital Aircraft, we believe that digital transformation is changing the world out there. It's changing definitely the world of aviation and making things possible that have never been possible before. And the time is really right to be able to engage and to leverage technology and to leverage digital transformation and to be successful. And so I want to encourage you, that this is the place to be, to be able to be looking at this subject and moving forward. So let me just for a minute address the goals of this webinar. So why would you be here, on this webinar? Well, you want to learn. I mean, we advertised this as it was a webinar to be able to learn about some interesting things in the industry and how you can understand digital transformation and to be able to create success. But we know that by learning, people want to create success in their business. And I know that you have goals and you want to increase your status. I mean, you want to improve your business. You want to create success. And we want this to be a place where you can learn. And we want to communicate. We're passionate about communicating digital transformation in the aviation industry. And that's really what we're all about at this point. But really, my goal of this presentation is to help the following types of people in this webinar is that, listen, if you're a business owner, you will get something out of this. You will understand digital transformation better. You will understand the customer better. You will understand some opportunities that you have internally to leverage that. And so that's really something that we want to focus on tonight is for business owners. We also are going to, if you're in new business development, if you're in sales, you're going to get something out of this. And this is going to be something that you are going to get some value from. You are going to get some success from looking at this. All right. I hope you get some nuggets of knowledge that you'll be able to get out of this. For those of you that want to learn about digital transformation, I saw that we had some software providers, on the webinar here tonight. And digital transformation is for all of us. And if you're a software provider that's maybe working at an airline, or if you have software you're developing for airlines, digital transformation is extremely critical for our customers, for our airline customers, and for our MRO customers. And so understanding our customers and what we can do to help them to be successful is a critical part of our success in our businesses. And so you're going to learn tonight about digital transformation from an airline and from a customer perspective. Now, if you're an MRO, and if you're looking for success in digital transformation, I know you're looking for productivity and you're looking for, increasing your profit and your cash flow and improving your schedule turn times on aircraft, on aircraft and helicopters. And so, this is definitely the place for you to be for us to talk about digital transformation. There's new business processes out there and there's old business processes, and maybe you're taking delivery of new technology. Maybe you're taking new airplanes and you're thinking about how do I adapt to those new airplanes? This is the place for you as well. If you're a one-person shop, or if you're a small business, or if you're a large enterprise, you're going to find out tonight that this is really for many of you in that same space. If you're a manufacturer, an OEM, if you're a parts distributor, all of this applies. But here's what I want to say is that what you can expect from this is to get valuable information from this webinar. You're in the right spot tonight. And let me tell you why this can apply to so many people. This is important. Listen, is that the process of digital transformation is the same, whether you're an individual or whether you're a business that's small, or whether you're an enterprise that's large, or whether you're a manufacturer or any of those companies that I talked about. You're just on a different journey, like it shows on that slide here right now. You're on a journey that places you at some place along that journey. Maybe you're at the very beginning of a journey where you're working from simple processes, manual processes, and spreadsheets, or maybe you're in a fairly advanced business where you're doing software development, and so you understand digital, but we're going to talk about digital for the customer and how it's important to understand that as well. And then if you're in a big enterprise, you may be down the road, but one thing's for certain is that there's no two journeys that are the same, but the process to get you there it's the same. All right. And so that's what we're going to focus on here tonight. And so I'm looking forward to imparting that information with you, and we're excited about this. Now, just one little thought is there's so many distractions in life, and you might want to just take your phone and shut it off or set it aside or put your computer away, close your computer, because you're going to want to listen to this, you're going to want to pay attention, and you're going to want to see what we're doing here tonight. And also, one more thing, you're going to want to stay till the very, very end, because we have some information all the way at the very end that's going to be extremely valuable to you. And so do not jump off before the end, because there's going to be some special things at the very end that you're going to want to stay for. So I want to thank you for joining us tonight. We got a great crowd. I'm really excited about that. It's great to see so many people, on the webinar. And so let's just dive right in and get further and get going here. So let me go to the next slide here. First of all, I see some people on the webinar that I recognize, and I also see people on the webinar that I don't recognize, which is great because it's fun to meet new people. And let me just tell you a little bit about myself. Who is Mark Schultz? All right. So I have been in aviation for over 40 years, and let me just tell you about myself. You see that picture there on the slide? It's of a Ford Trimotor. And I was 13 years old, and my father, who's 91 years old, who doesn't live very far from me, he was always enthusiastic about aviation. He would take me to the airport, and he would put me in a car, and we would sit at the fence, and we would watch airplanes take off, usually on Sunday afternoons, all right? And that was our entertainment. It was fantastic. And then when I was 13, he took me to Oshkosh, to the annual fly-in, now called Air Venture, in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And he paid to put me in the front right seat of a Ford Trimotor. And I tell you what, when I got in that airplane and we took off and we flew around, the airstrip, I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked on aviation. I loved it. I could not get enough of that. And I went back, and as an entrepreneur, I had paper routes, and I had odd jobs when I was younger, even before I was 15 years old. And I saved my money, and I started flying. And I began to fly when I was 15 years old. And I got my student pilot license. So I flew and soloed for the first time when I was only 15 and a half years old. And I didn't even have a driver's license yet. And they were letting me fly airplanes. Where in the world can you actually do that? It's amazing. And then, when I was younger, I took one of these tests to learn a little bit about yourself and what you're good at. And it said, hey, you could be an aircraft mechanic. And so I said, I'm going to be an aircraft mechanic. And so I actually went on to, after I got my private pilot license, I went on to get an A&P license and a mechanics license. And then I further got an engineering degree at Purdue University in the United States. And I got my commercial instrument multi-engine land, ratings. So I was a commercial pilot as well. And then I went back and got some business degrees. But, all those things just to tell you is that, I was really engaged in aviation at a very young age. And so this has been a journey I've been on for, quite some time. And I've been very passionate about it. And so, from there, I went on to do other things. I've always been thinking big and wanted to create success, in aviation. And most recently, I helped a software sales company to be successful in growing their business. It was focused in the area of maintenance and maintenance productivity in aviation for MROs. So I really engaged in that and had some great successes over the last 3 years in helping them to help other companies to be able to deploy successful maintenance software. And before that, I was at Boeing, and I was doing consulting all the way across the industry, all the way from flight operations to maintenance to commercial and materials, and all the way across the board, IT and airports. And we were focusing on helping customers to be successful in the operation of their aircraft. And one of the things we did was entry into service, implementation of IT ground systems and things like that. And before that, I actually worked for Jeppesen. And as I had a consulting business at one point in time in my career, I've worked with over 200 aviation aerospace companies in either understanding or assessing their business or implementing of systems in those businesses. But I've seen a lot all around the world for many, many years. As a matter of fact, in the last 3 years, I traveled over 1 million miles. And just last year alone, I traveled 480,000 miles to observe aircraft operations worldwide. And so I have a great understanding of operations and what kind of technology is being used and what kind of challenges and problems they have. And that's really one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about engaging in this subject matter. And for those of you that are, business owners, I just want you to know that, you see, I've worked in big enterprises, Boeing and Jeppesen and Northwest Airlines and McDonnell Douglas before. But, I've actually started 24 businesses in my career. And so I've started with small businesses and grown to medium-sized businesses and operated bigger businesses. And so I have quite a spectrum of understanding of business. And so that's why I have a passion for helping people in business to be successful, in aviation, and for us to be able to create success. Because these are business owners, I've included an extra slide, which I just want to show you here tonight, because, business is all about making money. I mean, if we're not making money in business, then, what's the point? Now, whether we're operating an airline and we're making revenue, from creating efficiency in that airline, or whether you're operating an MRO and you're having to increase profitability and cash flow, in MROs, I know that profitabilities are many times in the 3 to 4% range. And so, small movements in what's happening here can make dramatic changes in the bottom line in an MRO. And so the ability to be able to understand the factors that affect success of a business and create revenue are so important. And so, most recently I helped one company create $50 million in software, sales and new revenue. And when I was at Boeing, I worked with the company and was responsible for generating $70 million in new revenue. And a lot of that is with brand new customers that were implementing of IT solutions. And when I was running my own consulting businesses, I generated another $2 million worth of revenue. And then recently I've been working with different companies, helping them to do startups. And we've done innovative things with technology to be able to help them create exposure to their new business, help them run webinars and create a lot of new leads. And then there was one business that in a short 8 months, I helped them create 5,000 new customers. I'll talk more about that later. I've helped, businesses that were currently established to be able to create social media exposure. And we'll talk about that a little bit. And then, I actually found myself at one point in time in my career in the commercial real estate business. And we created a $30 million portfolio, equity portfolio of real estate. There's people that are a lot bigger than that and have a lot more, but that's pretty substantial. And included in those properties, those commercial properties, we had operations, we had retail businesses, and we were running another $30 million a year in operations. And then there were other businesses that we ran that were up to $15 million in retail businesses. But my point is that as a business, I know that you care about creating revenue and care about profitability. And so the context of what we're talking about here with digital transformation has been in the context of profitability and of making money. That is the reason that we're in business. So let's jump into the discussion about digital transformation now at this point. So here's really what we're going to do for the next 45 minutes or so. We're going to focus on these 3 secrets, all right? 3 secrets of digital transformation, all right? Secret number 1, why is the current time important with respect to digital transformation in aviation? Why is it important? All right, next is that leveraging digital internally and externally and at the customer location. And then next is that how do we increase profit and close more deals, within aviation due to technology and digital transformation. These are the things that we're going to focus on tonight. So first of all, we're going to go to the first one. So I want to talk to you about why the current time is so important. All right. You've probably heard this before and you're probably skeptical and you're probably thinking, what's the big deal? But I'm telling you right now is that technology is moving at an exponential rate. All right. It's just increasing dramatically. But I want to tell you just a little bit of a story about myself and why digital is so important to me. Why this is something that I've latched onto in aviation, because I've realized, the importance of it. But I've spent over 20 years right now in digital within aviation. And, I was 17 and a half years old. And one of my colleagues was kidding me about saying that I'm 17 and a half, but I know exactly when it was because I was in high school and I was getting ready to graduate. And I had already gotten my private pilot's license and I was thinking about becoming an A&P mechanic. And I knew about airworthiness directives. And at that time, this is a lot of years ago, airworthiness directives were only available on paper, all right? And I thought, that's crazy. Is it how can you research these things if they're only available on paper? And nobody was using computers, only like insurance companies were using computers and big companies. And I thought to myself, what if you could put those, on on a computer, and you could actually search them, And so I called up a friend of mine who was working at a big IT company at the time. And I asked him, I said, hey, how many pages of paper can you put onto a hard drive? I didn't even know the right questions to ask, all right? And he said, well, I'm not really sure. It kind of depends. It depends upon how much graphics there are and how much text there is, but, so it was complicated. But the point was, at a very early age, I was thinking about how can I do something like digital, in aviation. And so then after that, I went on to do different things in my career. And I learned about computers and a little bit in college, but not much, because that was too early to learn about computers in college. And then I went on to McDonnell Douglas, and I started implementing some new ideas about planning and scheduling and manufacturing and using, electronic software, which just wasn't even being used much at that point in time. And then I went to the airline. I went to Northwest Airlines and I worked there, and I became a consumer of technology. I started to understand, in engineering and in tech pubs and in maintenance training and all those places, on the importance of using electronic data. And I engaged in standards bodies. I was engaged in the ATA and helping to develop standards. And I really began to understand the importance of using digital technology. But the challenge was there were so many obstacles. I mean, hardware wasn't really there. Data standards weren't there. Data wasn't there. And so it really became very frustrating, because it was hard to be able to do these things. We would try certain things and they wouldn't be as successful as what we wanted. At Northwest Airlines, we had a big computer system to do electronic publications, and the company went out of business. And, so it was really hard in those days to do that. And it was really frustrating, and it got really, there was a lot of obstacles, and it was disappointing. But a time came where somebody reached out to me at Jeppesen, and they were thinking about leveraging digital technology. You see, they were in the business of aviation charts and maps, all right? And they were actually really good about gathering and aggregating data and repurposing data and creating data for charts. And they were just getting ready to move things onto CD-ROMs, and they were creating digital charts. And so they were really good about doing that. And they said, what if we applied these ideas to maintenance, and we provided electronic maintenance data? And so they went into the business of creating electronic maintenance data. And what happened was, I was hired to start that business. There was a handful of people, I don't know, there was 5 or 6 people that were there. And what we did over the course of just a few years is that we began the process of converting data and acquiring data from the manufacturers. And our customers were, Boeing and Airbus and Embraer and Saab and a lot of the airlines. And so we had really grown a nice business, but we still were struggling because software wasn't there and the data wasn't clean, and we couldn't deliver on time because the data was unpredictable and the standards were, not completely refined. And so we struggled. It was hard, and we couldn't deliver because there was no internet infrastructure. And so it was extremely difficult to be able to achieve success in that. And I continued down the journey, and I went into consulting, and I helped big airlines to implement systems. Like I helped American Airlines one time implement a work card system and a materials management system. And we started to look at implementing mobile, but it was extremely expensive. The devices were like $15,000 a piece. And so again, there were obstacles, things getting in our way. And so it became really, really hard. And then there came a point in time, which was only just a few years ago, where I realized, I looked around me, and it was almost like if by magic, is that all the factors that we had been struggling had now come together, all right? The standards were really in place, and there was better data in place, and there was software in place, and there was hardware that was capable of doing what we wanted to do, and there was mobile devices available at an affordable price, no doubt. And then the last thing, which was just like amazing, was that just a few years ago, the regulators were saying, I'm not really sure. You're going to have to prove to me that this is something that, can be safe and it's reliable, electronic signature and digital data. And then just a couple of years ago, the regulators started actually agreeing with moving forward. And there's only a few places in the world that I know right now where the regulators have any kind of difficulty with digital data. They're no longer saying, I don't think that we should be doing this. They're saying, just demonstrate to me how this is going to be better, equal and better to what you've been doing in the past, that we have the same safety, better safety, and better control than we had before. And so it was amazing to me that we now were able to, to actually be able to do this. And so all of this brings me to bringing you to the point on this slide, which says technology adoption is moving at exponential rates. And I want to show you a couple of slides that I pulled out. Is that this slide is done by a company recently that just shows the impact of technology, over the years. It's by ARX, I'm sorry, investment company. And what they do is they kind of show the different things over time in history, which have impacted, the global economy. And it was way back to steam engines and things like that. And then it was really, it was really newer technologies that were coming on board, over time. But most recently, what I wanted to focus on is the digital technologies, all right? And taking a look at there in the 2000 timeframe when the internet came in play, and you kind of see the impact it had. But now, if you look at what's happening with the impact that the technology is having on the world right now, it's 5 times more than what it's ever been before. And a couple of other data points to look at is just go to this next one. Is that, hey, look, this is just a chart that I pulled out that talks about solar implementations. This is a chart from 2019 talking about technology and electronics and the implementation of solar. And you see how rapidly it's just taking off, into these most recent years. And then the next thing that's really important is the cost of that technology is just going down. So in other industries, we see technology increasing dramatically and we see costs going down. And then if I continue to go further, here's a chart that was put together by it was actually by Accenture. Yeah, it was by Accenture. Here's a chart that was put together by, gonna have to get my glasses. I don't want to say that wrong. Yep, Accenture. So I wanted to give credit where it's due. All right. So that chart was put together by Accenture. And what that shows is back from, the early 1950s until now, up into 2030. And if you look at what's happened over time, is technology has continued to be deployed, but really in the last, 10 years, it's really gone up, dramatically at this point. And so, everybody that's looking at technology right now and all the things that we're looking at, things like big data and Internet of Things and artificial intelligence and really quantum or big computing, computing devices, cloud computing. I mean, all of that is making such a dramatic impact on the industry that things are moving faster than what they ever have before. And so I'm asking you again, why is the current time important? Because, you might have said, oh, well, 10 years ago, I tried that and it didn't work. Hey, we're not in 10 years ago right now. We're in a time frame where all those factors have come together. And if you're not doing this, you are falling behind. Now, I want to add one more chart that I think is really important, is that this is a chart that Boeing put out. And this just basically talks about the world fleet, all right? And you take a look at the number of airplanes that are out there and what the number of airplanes are going to be in the future. And you'll see that the number of aircraft just, a short few years out is going to double in size. And so if you combine the exponential rate that technology is growing and the doubling of the world aircraft fleet out there, there's 2 things that are happening, is that the amount of maintenance and parts and the MRO industry and operation of aircraft is going to continue to dramatically increase. And if you have not optimized your processes and optimized your costs, you are going to be falling behind from other people. If you're not leveraging technology and if you're using manual processes to maintain and support airplanes, you are going to have costs that are way too high to be able to support the growth of the industry out there. So why is this so important right now? Because everything is moving faster than what it ever has before. You need to just look around you and you say, well, who's doing this? Hey, I tell you what, people are doing it all around you. I told you I traveled 480,000 miles last year, right? And I have seen MROs and airlines, all around the world. And I'm telling you that people are doing this all around the world. But I want to tell you is don't worry about it if you haven't done that yet, because I would say that 85 to 90% of all the businesses that I visited around the world in the last couple of years are still using low technology or using paper processes. And so, the environment is ripe for us to move forward and do this. And if you haven't so far, the time is now. All we can say is the time is now to move forward. And this is super, super important. And so what I'm going to say here, which I want to point out, is the rate of technology adoption and the price drop combined with the aircraft growth in the world creates an unprecedented time in history. We have never seen this before. And things are growing at such a rate that the opportunities that exist for businesses to grow are dramatic, but only to grow if you're becoming more efficient and leveraging technology and making more money. If you're growing at unprofitable rates, what's the point? All right. So that's really secret number one is that now is the time, to move forward and do this. Let's go to the next one. Secret number two. Let's talk about leveraging digital both internally in your business and leveraging digital at the customer. All right. Both of them are extremely important. All right. And what I want to focus on here briefly is I want to focus on a number of things about our internal business practices. Now, depending upon what kind of business you're in, you'll see these from different angles. But what I told you is that the process is the same of what we're doing, regardless of what kind of a business we're in or in the journey we're on. We just apply different factors to the process to achieve the goals that we're looking for. But if you look at it for a minute, is that digital transformation is being applied in assembly, and we have to look at process control, and it's being applied in sales and marketing, and it's being applied in people that are actually applying technology or people that are deploying technology. But I, again, want to tell you just a quick little interesting story, is that this is a picture of a robotic device applying a windshield to a Porsche. All right. And the reason I did that is because just a couple of years ago, a friend of mine who worked, he's a pilot in the Middle East. He took me and a group of people to Germany, and we went to the Porsche factory, and we actually had a great opportunity to watch the assembly of Porsches. And I remember one thing that they said, which really stuck in my mind, which was really important, is that they talked about manual processes. And it's really interesting because a large portion of that factory is still manual. It's all handcrafted, which is really interesting. But what happened was they realized that the application of windshields and windshield sealant had about a 50% failure rate, leaks on those windows. And so what they did was they applied robotic technology to it, and it almost eliminated the errors 100%. And so it's really amazing what we can do with technology when it's applied in the right situation, even in small amounts. And so in that situation, they maintained this legacy of handcrafted cars, and they applied technology in an appropriate place to be able to dramatically improve quality and reduce cost. Next, I want to talk to you about another really interesting example of an MRO. So not too long ago, this is a public chart. And so the reason I'm sharing this with you is that Embraer Aircraft Maintenance Services in Nashville, Tennessee, they went to an IATA conference in Montreal not too long ago, and they did a presentation. And what they did was they talked about what they had done to transform their business. And what was so super interesting is that I can't even get into all the details of it, but they were able to create tremendous efficiencies, and they were able to decrease the schedule turnaround time, dramatically. But the thing which they pointed out, which was really important, is that prior to them implementing transformation of their business and the implementation of technology, is that they were not getting airplanes out the door on time. All right. And what you'll see in this chart here is that after they implemented technology at that point that it jumped up, they have almost a 100% delivery rate on aircraft. And so, but another thing to point out is that this business, interestingly, focused on process. They focused on process and improving process. They brought in technology as a lever to be able to accelerate that. And between really good people and really good processes and technology, they were able to create those kind of performance, those kind of delivery performance. And so this is the kind of situation where people, processes, and technology get together and create tremendous successes. And so I had to show that slide to you because that is such a prime example of what a good business that focuses on digital transformation can do. And they have become so much more profitable than they ever were after they did this, that it really is amazing. And I've seen the statistics I've seen the data, their financials on what they've done, on how they've been successful. Hey, the next thing I wanted to show you is just a really quick case study. Hey, listen, here's a business that I worked with, and it's a new company startup called Ewings. And you see a picture there of a gentleman, Stefan Fosler. And I just wanted to tell you is that I work with all kinds of different businesses to help them do things to be successful. And in this case, they're an aviation startup company working in blockchain, and they're established. They're now getting going in their business, and so they're relatively new. And what I did was I helped them to get a jump start on their business. It was an accelerator. And what they were doing is they were wanting to start to increase the awareness of who they are and what they're doing. And so we said, hey, let's run some webinars and let's run them on social media, and let's leverage technology to be able to get your name out there and to be able to move you forward faster and communicate some value to people in the industry and help them learn about blockchain and how it can be applied in aviation. And through doing these webinars in a really, really short period, we really dramatically increased their leads that they were getting and getting people to know who they were. And if you want to go to my website, you'll see some video testimonies from them, but they were really happy about, the work that we did, which was pretty exciting. Just a small company that we helped start up. So let's go to the next one. All right. The next part of secret number 2 that I want to focus on is understanding your customer. All right. Is that understanding the customer is really, really an important part of success of a business, because I've worked with software companies where they had really, really smart people that really understood technology and could really make things happen. They were amazing, but they didn't always necessarily understand the customer. They didn't have aviation domain, and they didn't really know exactly what the key performance indicators are. And so really understanding your customer is a very critical, important part of success. And so, engaging with people in the organization and engaging with processes. And so, I've identified that the 4 cornerstones of digital transformation are belief, people, process, and technology. So the most important thing in digital transformation is you have to believe, all right? Is that the most successful companies I've ever seen that have implemented digital transformation are those that had a leader and a team which absolutely believed in digital transformation. They focused on it and they were committed to the successful outcome of digital transformation. And so believing is really, really important, all right? But I wanted to just for a second focus on the next 2 pieces of this. And that's why I've highlighted people and process, because when people think about digital transformation, they want to jump to number 4 and go, let's implement technology, all right? Well, I just told you about the aircraft maintenance facility in Nashville, Embraer, and their success came from the people, the knowledge of the people working on processes and leveraging technology, all right? And so if you walk away with anything from this webinar tonight, I want you to understand is that going down the process, okay, of working with people and understanding the processes of both your business internally and of the customer you're working for are absolutely critical to the success of digital transformation. You will then apply technology to accelerate that and to create even better and further and faster improvements in what you're doing. But, I recently worked with a company who went out and bought some technology, and they really didn't know what they were going to do with it. And they spent a lot of money on that technology. I don't know how much it was, but I'm guessing they maybe spent $100,000 on implementing some iPads and some charging devices and check-in, check-out kind of capability. And they really didn't have it figured out exactly what they were going to do with it. They unfortunately kind of had the mentality of build it and they will come. And, so build the system and we'll figure out what to do later. But they spent a lot of money. And when they got done, they had this technology and they looked at each other and said, so what are we going to do with it? So you really need to focus on the people and the processes and your key performance indicators and what it is that you're doing in order to be able to have a successful digital transformation. And then comes the technology, right? So going through a structured process and understanding what you have to do and how to go through that and being guided through that is really, really important. Now, I just want to say something is that one of the reasons that we're passionate at Digital Aircraft in working with people to do that is because I told you that I have 20 to 40 years in aviation, and we have people on this webinar I'm looking right now, that are in all different journeys of their business. And, people might be 1 year into a business or 10 years or 20 years into a business. And, you can go out and figure this stuff out on your own. All right. But, why not leverage the people in the industry? Why not access the knowledge in the industry to help you to be able to do that? I've learned over the years is that I've accessed people that are mentors of mine, and I have taken years off of my success by leveraging the knowledge of people around me and learning and implementing things based on their knowledge, whether I'm going to people in the industry or whether I'm going to vendors or whether I'm bringing in consultants, to help me with different things. We need to focus on how do we move forward faster. And one of the ways you move forward faster is by leveraging the knowledge that's around you, both in people and process. And you need to understand your customers and their business in order to be successful in digital transformation. So just don't run out and buy technology. You need to focus on people and process in order to be able to create that success. So I got another little quick case study for you is that I told you that I most recently came off of a situation where I was asked to come and help an aviation software company to grow. And that aviation software company, you know, when I joined them in 2016, you know, they had almost nothing for a pipeline. And, you know, when I left, we had really leveraged what I just talked about understanding the customer's processes and doing a consultative kind of a sales process and helping that customer, you know, to be successful. And by the time I left, they had over 1,000 customers in that pipeline. And we had secured in just that last year, $30 million in revenue, 50 million over the time that I was there. And, you know, and in that last year, we met the criteria for a company to be able to secure a $5 million new investment. And that was a public, you know, news release, a press release that came out. And so that's public information. And so, you know, it was all of that working together, that focusing on the customer and helping that business to be able to increase what they were doing and to create success, you know, during that time frame. And so, you know, you can do this. You can grow your business, you know, in short periods of time, and so it is possible. And so, you know, focusing on the right factors, on the processes, and on the customer and what their needs are, and doing a consultative kind of a selling process, you know, is possible to create success. Next, I want to focus on technology, right? So you're thinking, well, where does technology come in then? Is it when do we focus on technology, right? Well, you focus on technology as part of the process. I said we focus on believing, and then we focus on people and process, and then we bring in the technology, and we create this leverage of growth, all right? And I want to talk just a little bit about, you know, technology in your business, all right, and how it gets applied. We're going to break this into two pieces, all right? And so breaking technology into two pieces is, number one, I said, understanding the customer and what their needs are for business. What are their KPIs? What's their processes? And if you're a software provider, you know, you want to look at that and say, what do they really need? You know, you can bring your technology to the table, you can bring your software to the table, but if you don't understand what their requirements are for success, they're, number one, not going to buy what you have, and number two is, you know, it may not be successful in its implementation. And so the first half of this equation is understanding the customer and bringing, you know, expertise to the table, and so, you know, helping them to understand how your technology fits into their business process. Now, if you're an MRO and you're implementing technology, it's exactly the same, only you're coming at it from the customer standpoint. Is that you're looking at, you know, what are my business processes? What are my KPIs? And you're going out and looking in the industry and looking at what technologies are out there and working together to bring those things into one, you know, cycle of looking at what you can do in your business processes and technology to be able to create success. All right. And then let's flip it around, you know, and take a look at an airline, for example. It's the exact same process as an MRO, only it's probably going to be much larger. You probably have a much larger enterprise. And I've worked with airlines, and I'm telling you, is that the process is the same, whether you're working at an airline or anywhere else. You're going through the same, you know, milestones in the process, only now you're considering a larger scope, all right? You're considering a larger IT portfolio, and you're considering a larger number of pieces that are interacting with each other, but it's the same process, all right? You're going through the exact same approach, you know, to doing this. So those are really the key fundamentals of digital transformation: is belief, people, process, and technology. So I'm going to go to secret number 3, all right? Secret number 3 is, you know, if you're a business, or, you know, if you're a small business, or if you're an airline or an MRO, you know, what is it that you have to focus on to be able to increase profit and, you know, close more deals, or increase profit and cash flow within your MRO? You know, what are the things that we have to do to be able to focus on that? Look, we talked a little bit about technology. Yes, you can implement technology, you know, in that environment, and you're going to create dramatic success from, you know, the acceleration that's happening within the industry, but it's only going to come with the implementation and evaluation of the business, and engaging with the people, and working the process down a structured flow, leveraging the knowledge of people around you, and implementing that technology. That is what's going to to bring the MRO and the airline to a more efficient environment. That's what brought, the ones that I brought to you. That's the ones that brought, Embraer to that success. And that's exactly what they did. Now, so let's take a look at a business, an internal business. All right. So if it's your business and you're looking at how do I increase profit, and close more deals, what do I really do? So from that standpoint, we need to look at it from a different angle. Now we're looking at our own internal process. Now, here's the thing is that you could be the highest technology, software company that exists. And if you're not optimizing your own processes internally, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle internally to deliver quality, or you're going to struggle internally to deliver on time or on schedule. And you're going to struggle internally to scale and to be able to have a pipeline and a quality pipeline and one which, closes deals. And so, all of that becomes an important part of the success of your business. And so as we look at what you have to do, the same process begins to apply. All right. I said people are engaged and they have to look at processes. You have to look at your customer. You have to look at the processes that they're involved in. Where does your product need to be placed with that customer? Where in the industry, who needs your product? And you have to put together, a model which basically establishes, where's your product need to be placed. All right. So we're looking at process again. And then we need to evaluate your market, and we need to look at your market and says, who are my best customers? Who are my perfect customers? Who do I need to be going after? Right. And it's with that process that you can then begin to think about applying, technology. And so for a minute, I want to talk about the pipeline and pipeline quality management, right? Is that so many of us struggle with working a pipeline and then it doesn't close. The deals don't close, right? And so the question is that how do we increase the probability of a close? What do we do to be able to create success in closing of deals, all right? And it all starts back from the beginning. It starts from the beginning of putting quality customers into your pipeline. And what I've found is that by leveraging technology and to be able to begin to filter out the people which are the most probable persons which need your product using technology, you can narrow the field of people you're working with. Now, the old approach to doing things is, all of it's phone calls, all of it is reaching out to people, sending emails, really ending up being a process where you're going to conferences and you're talking to people. And yeah, that's all really valuable, but it's very time consuming. And if you want to grow at that rate of which technology is increasing, and if you want to grow at that rate of which airplanes are being entered into service, within the industry, you are going to have to find ways to be able to scale your business without increasing your cost, proportionately. And the way you can do that is by applying technology to what you do. We can use social media. We can use social media to get our name out there, to get exposure. Hey, listen, the most important thing for a business, especially for a new business, is for people to know who you are. If people don't know who you are, how can they buy from you? All right. I can tell you, I've had so many situations where I closed a customer and they came to me and they said, why didn't I know who you were? You have such a great product. All right. Well, that's a problem. Right. And so if you're not leveraging, internet and social media and that technology to get your name out there today, you're falling behind because it's accelerating really fast. And what's going to happen is your competitors are going to get ahead of you, and they're going to be doing this before you are, and you're going to fall behind and they're going to get ahead, and their adoption curve is going to be faster than what yours is. Now, by doing that, you're thinking to yourself, well, yeah, but I'm increasing the volume of leads that I have coming in. What do I do? How do I stay on top of that without adding all these new people to be able to manage that? That's again where technology comes in. We begin to filter that with technology, and we do it with surveys, and we do it with leads, and we do it with video, and basically naturally the people that aren't interested are going to start to fall out. You could call that natural selection. And in the end, you have a narrower group of people that you actually have to talk to when you begin to leverage, technology to be able to do that. And what you'll do, as it says on the chart here, is you'll begin to accelerate your sales. You'll put more customers in the pipeline. You'll be able to narrow them down. You'll have to spend less time chasing them, and to the point in time where you're able to have a higher quality pipeline that's full, that's more full than what it ever was before. You're going to be able to accelerate your sales. All right. By understanding your customer requirements, you'll have the right people in the pipeline, and you'll be closing more deals because they'll be the people that are the most interested. All right. So here's the next thing I want to say is that you absolutely need to sell by the numbers. And let me tell you what that means. All right. Selling by the numbers means is that you need to reverse engineer what you're doing. You need to know exactly what your revenues need to be this year, exactly what your profitability needs to be, and then exactly what your deals, the average deal sizes are, and how many basically sort out. What's your conversion rate? Go back and say, how many leads do I have to get into the pipeline, and what does that look like with the number of contacts that I have to make? And you need to actually work these numbers. You need to have this calculated properly, because if you're not working these numbers, if you're doing these just sort of off the cuff, if you're just guessing on these numbers, how can you expect to close what the things that you're looking for? And and we're getting really close to the end of the year. We're into the third quarter, and there's only 2 quarters left in this year. And I want you to ask yourself, are you going to make your numbers this year? Are you going to make your profitability? Are you going to make your revenue this year? There really is still time to do it. And if you're actually calculating the things that you need and knowing the levels of activity you have to have, you'll be able to predict what you're doing and whether it's going to close enough business or not. And so without doing that, without doing the numbers, there's just no way you can know and predict what the outcome is going to be. And I talked about the last one already, is that every business needs to come out of obscurity. People need to know who you are, and you need to come out, and people need to know what you offer and what the value is for you to offer. And I told you that that's why I did some webinars with people to get their name out there and for people to understand who they are and what the value of their product is and what they do. And that's critical for the success of a business. Hey, let me give you one more example here. Here's a business. You click it one more time. Here's a business that I worked with. It's a new startup business, and it was an e-commerce business. And it just gives you an example of applying technology. Is that in a short 8 months, this business created $172,000 in revenue from a startup and secured 5,000 new customers. And it was because we helped them to leverage technology. We helped them to be able to use technology to, in a very rapid way, get their name out and to create new customers and create a social media following and actually get that first, 6-digit revenue that was coming in as part of that new business. And it was a small business, but we jumped on it and we helped that business to grow. That was an important part of the growth. All right, so let's go to the next. Hey, listen, one of the important things is that you have a plan. All right, we've talked about all these things. We talked about secret number 1. We talked about secret number 2, secret number 3. And part of that is putting that into a plan. And, it is possible to make a difference in a short period of time. I have actually implemented entire systems in 30 days. And so you might be thinking to yourself, well, what could I do in 30 days? Well, it depends upon what size of a business you are. If you're a small business and you had a point solution that you wanted to implement in 30 days, who knows? Maybe you'd be able to implement it in 30 days. All right. If you're a medium-sized business and you want to make some changes in your business, you might be thinking, what can I do in 30 days? Well, you definitely can move down a structured process to be able to better understand what it is that you're doing and come out at the end of 30 days with a solid plan and a movement forward. And the whole goal is to be able to figure out how to accelerate your business. And so that is definitely something, which you can do. Now, if you're a much larger business, like an enterprise, like an OEM, or maybe you're an airline, you're thinking, what can I do in 30 days? I mean, how can I even do that? Well, the process is the same. Maybe you need to extend it out to 60 days or 90 days, but the process is still the same. By focusing on getting a certain amount of work done in 30 days and to be able to go through a structured process and to work through that, you can achieve successes on smaller pieces. All right. It might be putting together overall vision of what you're doing, and implementing the first layers of teams to be able to move it forward. It might be breaking off some of those pieces that you're going to start working on to be able to execute on, to be able to work on implementation of smaller pieces. I'm working with IT companies, all over the world right now, and everybody's faced with the same kind of a challenge. And, and you can't let it be overwhelming to you. You need to just grasp it and go through the process, and you will achieve success. But I will guarantee you one thing, is that if you don't have milestones for success, you won't move forward, or you won't move forward very fast. And so having a 30-day plan for success and having milestones of which you're going to achieve through a very structured process and leveraging help from the outside and getting people to help you is definitely a recipe, for success. Okay, let's go to the next. Okay, I want to ask you this, well, how do you accomplish this? All right, how do you really make this happen? If you're a business owner or a salesperson, I want to ask you a question, all right, just for a minute. Is that if you could increase deals in your pipeline, all right, if you could streamline your processes and if you could close more deals, all right, would you consider yourself to be successful? If those three things could happen, and if they could happen as quickly as in a 30 to 60 day period, would you consider yourself to be successful? Yeah. Next. If you're an airline or an MRO, and if you're MRO, if you could increase production, if you could create efficiency, and if you could make the business more profitable, would you consider yourself to be successful? Of course you would. And the other aspect of that is quality and shortened cycle times. That's what we saw from Embraer. And so, the reason I brought these three secrets to you is that if you focus on those three things, the question is, can you be successful? So the next thing I have to ask is that if you're an airline or an MRO, if you increase production and create efficiency, and make the business more profitable, would you be successful? All right. So the question is, what's stopping you? All right. Is it belief? Is it tools? Is it expertise? Is it time? What is it that's stopping you? What is it that's stopping you today? So let's ask this, is that if you were to incorporate a process whereby as a business, all right, as a business, you're selling to the industry was in more of a consultative or a process whereby you sought to understand the customer's, goals and objectives. You sought to understand the customer's KPIs, and you wanted to better understand how your products and solutions, fit in. All right. And if you had that expertise, would that be something of value to that customer? Let's flip it around. If you're an airline or an MRO and a vendor comes to you and they offer to work with you, to be able to provide you with the knowledge that you need to understand their products in the industry and how it fits into your process, and they were knowledgeable about it and they understood what you're doing, would that be valuable to you? Okay, so there was one point in time in my career earlier on, I told you that I had earned over $2 million in consulting revenue, and the reason I point this out is that I worked for an airline for almost 3 years, and they paid $2.2 million for me to be able to help them, through that process. And so, it can be a very costly process, to be able to do that, to hire a consultant and to be able to come in and to have them do that. And so, but it is a valuable process to be able to do that. That's why they paid so much money, is to be able to understand, how to create success, is to leverage knowledge and experience. By then I had already been through the manufacturer and through the airline, and I'd done a lot of implementations with customers. And so they hired me to help them move further and faster in the industry. They hired me to help them to leverage technology and to be able to create things moving faster, right? But it was through a consultative kind of a process. And so, as I go on, further in this presentation, I have to ask you is that if you could find a way in your business to be able to accelerate things, and if you could create success, would that be valuable to you? Yeah, I think so. And so, for myself is that I've worked with different people in the business, and I have to ask you, the question is that, could you possibly be the next person who creates success? So I want to bring before you this concept, this idea, all right, is that here at, Digital Aircraft is that we have created something called the Digital Transformation Accelerator Masterclass. And really what it is it's a comprehensive 30-day masterclass which focuses on how do we usher somebody through the process of digital transformation. And I told you that the process is the same no matter what it is that you're applying it to. And so this process can be applied to an individual contributor, maybe as a consultant or as a software company or as an MRO or as an airline or an OEM. And by applying this structured process, we have been able to successfully accelerate the activities that people have to get things done faster than what they would have before, leveraging expertise on the outside in order to be able to help things to move forward faster. Now, you might be asking, well, what is this really made up of? Is that I've told you that it was a requirement to believe, right? Is that, it's important to believe. And so one of the things that we do is we focus on how to create belief in a situation. What are the core elements for belief in a situation? We focused on how to kick off a project and creating a vision and a plan, industry standards, business cases, paperless operations. How do we understand customers' business requirements? How do we understand our internal business requirements? How does technology come to play into that? How do we evaluate that? How do we deal with regulations? And then we move on to say, how do we manage expectations and teams? And what if I need to go out with RFPs? Or how do I create a project plan? Or what about a business case? Business cases are critical to be able to create success. What about process flows? Embraer had to create a lot of process flows to be able to create success. And how do we focus on KPIs being the factors? How do we focus on key performance indicators and success factors and data, and in order to be able to create revenue and profitability and cash flow? How do we create a new future for the business? And then we've put in there part of that class as really a bonus only for people on this webinar that are here today is that really focusing on mastery and sales. And how do we apply some of those lead generation techniques and some of those pipeline quality management techniques and setting up the sale and doing the math and closing the deal. And together we've created this actually core week 1, 2, 3, and 4 masterclass, and we've added an additional week at the beginning, an additional week on the end. So it actually ends up being 6 weeks to be able to focus on how do we create success? How do we help people to create success? And so I wanted to quickly put out in front of you is that what would the value of that be to you? All right, is that I have a question. Is that if you just added up the consulting time alone, all right, just the time alone where somebody would spend working with you to be able to do that in the course of a month, all right, is that comes to over $10,000 in value. Now, just for a minute, is that we're not gonna offer that to people for $10,000. All I'm saying is that if you went out and hired a consultant to do that, it would be well over $10,000. As a matter of fact, you might pay $50,000 a month for one consultant, to be able to work with you to be able to create success in your specific situation. And so, we said that's probably worth about $10,000. And then the next thing is that we said, well, belief is so important in creating success is that we spend an entire week before we get going on the 30 days, creating belief, working with the team and helping people learn how to facilitate and planning out the journey and really focusing on belief. Because if you're going to accomplish anything in life, you have to believe, you have to be completely engaged, you have to be completely in. And if you're not, it's not going to be successful. And so an important part of digital transformation is creating belief. And so we've put an extra week on the front of this and we've said, hey, what is that worth? We said that's worth another $1,750. And so already the value of this is getting up to like over $12,000. And so, the question would be, is that if you could close, one more deal, would it be worth $12,000 to you? I think so. Next. So, you might ask, well, what about tools? Processes are great and learning about processes, but what about some tools to be able to help me go through this process? Well, we've included some business process templates based on our knowledge and experience, which can be used, generic ones, which can be used to modify in order to be able to help you through this business process, this thinking process. And then next, we know that developing a business case is extremely important. Listen, we don't make decisions on digital transformation and technology without having a return on investment from things. And you may have had experiences in the past where ROIs have not proved out. And I can tell you that the return on investment that I've done with the customers I've done in the last 5 years have been dramatic. They've been 10%, 15%, 20%, 30%. I even had one customer that had a 42% return on investment from the implementation of some of their solutions. And we can show you through the use of templates and through the use of guidance on how to be able to create a good return on investment and a good business case. So we've thrown some tools in to do that. And hey, but wait, listen, if you're the kind of a company that needs to go out and get extra help from the outside, you might need to develop a request for information or a request for proposal. And so as well, we're including, some templates for RFPs and RFIs in there in order to be able to give you a jump start. Hey, listen, you could pay $1,000 to have somebody write a template, $2,000, $5,000 to have somebody write a template for you. Next, a plan. A plan is extremely important in the success of any project. And so what we've also done is we've also included in the 30-day digital transformation accelerator program some project plans to be able to help you think through the milestones and the things that you need to do in order to be able to create success and to be able to manage and plan out a project. So listen, it's not just about knowledge, but actually, what if I were to give you some tools and you were able to actually, use those tools to get a jump start on things? Could you create success from that? Yeah. So really, what's that worth? Is it, 4 different tools, about $495 a piece. We just put a price on that. That's almost $2,000. And so that brings the value of this package up to $14,000. And so, you're looking at the masterclass, you're looking at the tools, you're looking at the belief, you're looking at the, these things which are helping you to be successful. It's worth almost $14,000 right now at this point. Now we're getting to some really good stuff here is that, listen, I told you that the journey itself is different for everybody. The process is the same, but the journey is different. And so an extremely important part of creating success is doing some one-on-one coaching, some strategy development, and what we do is we include in this one-on-one coaching as part of the program to work with you individually to be able to create strategy and to create some plans and create some technical reviews and some team guidance. And so we do that over the course of that 30 months, that 30 days, to be able to help you to use the processes, the structured processes and the tools and the 40 years worth of experience, including my business colleagues. I have business colleagues that are part of this, and many of them have been in the industry for 20, 30, 40 years as well. And so coming together, we're able to help people to create success by bringing knowledge together that can help you and mentor you and accelerate you like never before and moving through this digital transformation journey. And so, that's really pretty valuable. And a weekly one-on-one, private coaching session, we've said is worth about $2,500, in a month. That brings the value of this already up to over $16,000 right now. So let's go to the next one. We also have found value in doing group coaching. All right. And so mastermind coaching. And so the concept of having a mastermind is getting a group of people together so that they can share knowledge and ideas and do review and peer review. And when we do that, we create synergy, we create knowledge from another. And so how would you like to have, industry experts available to your fingertips? How would you like to have, connections with people who are able to help you and you can reach out to them and they can give you some additional guidance? Well, we do some group coaching and we think that's extremely valuable. And, that adds another $1,250 into it, doing a once a week group coaching session in order to be able to add that value. So next, having access to industry experts is such an important part of this process. And so one of the things that we do is we've leveraged social media and we've made some industry experts available where you can go on to social media and you can actually ask questions and you can get answers from those people with, like I said, 20, 30, 40 years of experience. And that is so valuable. Just having access to people. Listen, I know some people that have such knowledge and it's so exclusive that they'll charge you $1 million just to come and consult with you for one visit. Well, I said that if you had access to a consultant for 1 month in this industry, it might cost you $350 an hour or $50,000 a month to be able to access somebody. And so we think that access to industry experts like this is extremely valuable to your projects. And so we think this is worth almost $5,000. And so already, the package that you're looking at here is worth over $22,000 now at this point in time. Next is that we're offering unlimited access to our membership site. And what that means is that our tools, our training, our videos, our downloads, our safety and storage vault, all that is accessible to you from our membership site, basically where you access this information. And then, that's worth about $200. Next is that we have a private Facebook site. Now you might ask, well, why do we have a private Facebook site? Because, Facebook has become the place where, it's like a blog these days, and it's an easy place to do live broadcasts. And it's a readily available place for us to tell you is that, listen, post your questions there. Our experts will go in there and we're going to do live broadcasts in there. And so what we actually do is we actually broadcast our daily programs in there before they're put into the membership site. And so that's a place which is readily accessible. There's over 2 billion people which use Facebook today. And so the value of using that and leveraging that technology allows us to scale, quite dramatically. Next, we have unlimited access to a LinkedIn site, which, you've probably seen some of the posts that we've done out there. And we've even done some live events on LinkedIn. We haven't been able to use their live event capability yet, but we do it in other ways. And you can access those, live posts sometimes. So, we've just included those and we said that the price is still running about $24,000 so far. Next is that we have special discounts with vendors. We have relationships with over 200 software vendors, and we have had them make commitments that they will provide discounts and affiliate programs in order to be able to help you to be successful in your digital transformation, program. So we're just including that, as part of the overall entire program. So, and then for those of you that are business people, and for those of you that are involved in the sales process, is that I have a special affinity to sales. And so we have added, like I said, as this 5th bonus week, we've added a sales mastery program as part of this. And we want you to be successful in sales. We want your new business development to be successful. And so what we've done is we've added a week of special sales mastery program, which focuses on the leveraging of the power of the internet and how to develop more leads and how to do lead tracking, how to do follow-up. Those are some of the most important things that you can ever do, is do follow-up. And as salespeople, how do you maintain and continue to be motivated? And how do you access other industry programs and things out there to dramatically increase your sales? And how do we have process tracking tools? And all together, we give a special emphasis or a special boost on how do we boost the sales process? How do we increase that sales process? And so after you've gone through looking at your own internal, business and what you can do to optimize it and create more efficiencies and leverage social media and the internet, then we talk about applying that really within sales. That's really valuable. And, we've tagged another, price on that of almost $4,000 or $3,600. So already now we've come up to a total value of what we're offering here, to you today of over $27,000. And you might think, well, that's a lot of money. But, hey, like I said, if you hired a consultant for a month, it would be $50,000. But we're not going to charge you that. I told you at the beginning, we're not going to charge you that. Listen, the regular price of this program at this point in time is normally $4,997. All right. And so we have a special discount, that we run, on and off. And we offer this $27,000 worth of value for only $49.97. But if you're on this webinar today, we've created a special package here today, including that 5th bonus week, which is Sales Mastery. And we're offering that to people on this webinar today and on this webinar only for $29.97. And so, you're going to be able to have access to over $27,000 worth of value for only $29.97. Now, you might be asking yourself, is it, I'm not really sure about that. Well, listen, let me take a few minutes to explain that a little bit further. But before I do that, is that I want to tell you that if you're on this webinar right now, and if you want to access, that $29.97 price, we have actually put a countdown clock, on the screen here. And for the next 30 minutes, you can go to our website, and at this location at order.digitalaircraft.org, you can jump in on this program. And you can get access to the masterclass. You can get access to the belief workshop. You can get access to all those tools. Hey, listen, those tools alone have a value of over $3,000. And then you can get access to the experts in the industry, the consulting. I mean, the consulting alone, is worth, over $10,000. And you're going to be getting all of these things to be able to accelerate your business, whether you're accelerating, your digital transformation in your MRO and getting a jump start on what you're doing, maybe moving it faster. If you're in the airline and you're wanting to get some activity accelerated around digital transformation, this is a tremendous opportunity to be able to access this kind of knowledge and information, access the knowledge from all the customers that I've worked with and my Boeing colleagues and the other associates that I work with to bring this to you so that you can be successful in your digital transformation journey. And so, for this price of only $29.97, for those that are on the web, we're going to have this offer up there at our website, at order.digitalaircraft.org for the next 28 minutes. And so jump on it, and let's see if we can help you to be successful in your business. I am absolutely certain it's happening all around you, and we've been successful in helping businesses to create tremendous value. And so I have to ask you this: is that, hey, what's the cost of one airline ticket these days? All right, if you're flying domestically, maybe $1,000. If you're flying internationally, it could be $3,000. If you're flying in business class, it could be $15,000. All right. So, comparatively, just look at the price of these things. Is that the value to your business is dramatic, and the opportunity you have to access $30,000 worth, almost $30,000 worth of value to something which has never been able to be offered before. I don't know of anybody in the industry that's offering this kind of a package and this kind of consulting and training, and access to experts at all. At any price, all right, at $30,000 or at $5,000 or at $29.97 is that, certainly not at $29.97. And so, this is an opportunity of a lifetime, I'm going to say, because what we're able to do is, let me just say is that, how can you do this? You're asking me, you're thinking to yourself, how can you do this? How can you sell it for this price? Well, we have been able to leverage the power of the internet. All right. Let me ask you this, is that how many of you, if you want to do something today, around your home, you want to make a repair, you want to learn something, what's the first thing we do? Well, we go to YouTube. All right. We look it up on YouTube. I tell my kids that did you look it up on YouTube? All right. And, we look it up on YouTube and we learn how to do it. And what we do is we accelerate our learning. We move forward faster and we're able to get things done better and more quickly. And let me ask you this, is that if you could do that in your business, if you could move forward faster, would it be worth $29.97? I would think so. All right. It's less than the cost of one airline ticket. And so, we might look at the cost of things, but you have to look at the value of it. You have to look at the investment. This is an investment, in your business. And this is an investment that is going to make a difference. Digital transformation is happening all around you. And if you don't invest in moving forward and being successful in your business, if you don't leverage these kind of opportunities when they come, you're going to end up paying a lot more money later on. Either you're not going to be as successful in your business, you're not going to have the same revenue, you're not going to have the same kind of profitability, or you're going to lose an opportunity and you're going to have to go out and spend a couple $1 million for a consultant to be able to come in and help you. All right. And so, I know sometimes people look at the price and they go, oh, that's a lot of money. Hey, it's an investment in the success of your business is what it is. All right. And let me ask you this, is that if we could, create 10 times the value for you, would it be worth $29.97? I would think so. All right. It's almost 10 times the value, that exists there. So let's address a couple of other things here. I'm taking a look at some questions that have been coming in here, on the webinar. And, one of the first questions is that, I'm not really sure I can do it. I'm not sure my organization will change. I don't really know if we can make this happen. Change is happening all around us. Change is part of life. All right. And we all know that businesses change, factors change, the economy changes, and it's extremely critical that we're an organization that can adapt to change. All right. And so, what we can do is we can come around you and we can give you a process that you can follow to be able to understand your organization, understand, the tools that you need to be able to be successful in your organization, understand how to be able to create, digital transformation, whether it be in your business or whether it be selling your software to the customer, and how to apply that and how to convince the customer that this is the right solution to solve their problem. Change is happening all around us. All right. And if we don't embrace change, we're going to fall behind. And all I can say is that I have seen the most difficult of people, change in digital transformation. Now, I maybe shouldn't use the word difficult, because when people are unfamiliar with something, they tend to be resistant, to it. But what I've found is that when we've implemented good processes with good technology that work, and they save people time and they save people money, people feel good about it. They believe. And if people believe, then they implement. And so belief really comes with a good process and good enthusiasm. There's only one thing that's more contagious than enthusiasm. That's the lack of it. All right. And so we need to have enthusiasm. We need to have belief. We need to engage. And so the way to make change in your organization and the way to believe is to have enthusiasm, is have a plan, have a good process, and have people to have a good outcome. And what we've done is we've taken all the experience that we've had for all these many years, and we've engaged to be able to create this great, process of belief, this great process of transformation, of tools, to enable you to be able to be successful in the implementation of technology. So let's take a look at one of the next questions. One of the next questions here that's come up is, well, the cost of implementation has prevented us in the past from implementing. All right. Okay. I understand. And so that's why what we've done is we've included some training, and so we've included some knowledge on the development of a business case. All right. I have developed so many business cases over my years, is that we have used that knowledge to be able to create some business case templates. And, a lot of times people have focused on the wrong factors, to be able to quantify a business case. Or maybe you've said, hey, we've done business cases in the past and it hasn't worked out. All right. Well, the question is that have you focused on looking at the right, factors for success? I mean, what I can tell you is this, is that I have worked with companies that have said, okay, we're going to implement technology and we're going to measure the value of the technology. You know, and it's hard to measure the value of the technology if you're not looking at the impact that it's having. All right. So if you're not looking at the labor that's being reduced, or if you're not looking at the scheduled turn time that's being reduced, you know, I mean, if you're able to reduce labor and if you're able to capture that and document that, all right, then we roll that into the business case. If you're able to shorten the cycle time, you know, on an aircraft, and like Embraer did, and if you're able to, you know, get those airplanes out faster, what's the value to the airline at that point in time? All right. And if you're able to get more airplanes in the hangar and perform more maintenance, what's the value of that from a revenue standpoint? I've seen every one of these things happen at MROs that I've worked at all around the world. I've seen airlines achieve this kind of success, and I've seen software companies, you know, create better quality and to be able to sell their product, you know, into the customer better because they understand, you know, all these factors of the business case. And if you're a company that's trying to sell your product to another company, you know, you need to understand a business case. I frequently will help the customer to develop their business case. I don't just create, you know, factors. I don't just create numbers and send them off to them, because then they have difficulty creating a business case. I actually help them to create the business case to ensure that they understand it and that I understand their business and they understand the value that comes from what it is that I'm bringing to them, the product or service that I'm bringing to them, so that in the end, they can actually create a successful business case that will close. And by my working with people, I've been able to help people to be successful in the development of business cases. And so what we also do in this program is we help you understand how to develop a business case, and we give you a tool, you know, tools to be able to create the business cases. And so in the end, we're doing all these things to help you to understand and to help your customer, or to create a business case internally for that. And so it doesn't become the cost of implementation. It really becomes, what's the return on investment? What's the value that comes from, you know, the implementation of these products and services at this point in time? And so if you're not focusing on that, then, you know, you're really losing out, because I have a history of working with customers that have demonstrated that they get a tremendous return on investment from the implementation of, you know, digital technology, digital transformation. So it's really a matter of capturing that well and doing a good job of managing that, understanding the business processes. What are the key performance indicators, and what do you have to do basically to ensure that that success is really being created? Looks like my countdown clock has stopped there. All right. Okay. It looks like it's continuing to go. I must have bumped it. All right. Okay. So next is that I'm not sure that the content is right for me. Okay. So all right. Well, that's a valid question. All right. So let me just answer it this way: is that early on I focused on the process. All right. I said it's about the process. Is that the process is the same. I've experienced the process is the same, whether you're trying to transform your own business or whether you're trying to understand somebody else's business. Going through the process is the same, whether you're a small company, a medium-sized company, or a big company. It's really just a matter of how you apply it in your journey. All right. It's a matter of how you apply it to understanding an MRO, or how you apply it to understanding, you know, an airline or in an OEM. And so I've worked with, you know, really large airlines that had really complex systems. And I've worked with manufacturers that have had, you know, very complex engine processes or very complex, you know, airline manufacturing processes. And I can just tell you is that if you go through the structured process, if you go through the process of applying the things that you know you need to do for digital transformation, and looking at around you, you know, what your journey is and how your journey applies to that process, you will be successful. All right. And it's really just taking one step at a time. It's moving forward to one step. And I know many times that people get overwhelmed, you know, with the magnitude of this task. Is it's so big. There's so many moving pieces. I've seen some really complex IT portfolios, right? And really it's a matter of casting a vision and understanding where you want to go, breaking it down, and getting to the place where you're addressing, you know, high level plans and what the pieces are below that, and getting people working on the smaller pieces below that, and ensuring that they're going to roll up into the success of the overall high level plan. All right. Now it might sound, you know, oversimplified, but in reality, that's really what it is. All right. There's nothing that's done in this world that's magic. All right. It's all a matter of having a process that you break down and you execute on it, in a methodical way. And whether it's one small piece or whether it's a large number of pieces that make up a bigger whole, it's all being executed on in the same way. All right. And so it's really about the process. All right. So if you're asking if this is the right content for you, it's really about the process, that you go through. All right. So I have another question here is that, hey, what about the regulators? Do they support, what it is that we're doing? All right. Okay. That's a good question. Let me just say that, I've worked with regulators for many years and obtaining, operational approval into flight deck. And I've worked with regulators to obtain approval of systems and maintenance and at manufacturers. And, quite a number of years ago, I said this earlier in the program tonight, quite a number of years ago, people, had a difficult time working with the regulators because maybe processes weren't stable and maybe everything wasn't, complete, or maybe it wasn't as high quality as what you needed, or maybe hardware wasn't as reliable. But there were reasons. I mean, regulators are people too. And there were reasons why they were uncomfortable with the success, many years ago with technology. But I can tell you with all certainty, having been around the world and having worked with regulators around the world, that regulators want what it is that we're doing today. All right. They don't just want it, they're really demanding it. All right. Last fall, it was not quite a year ago, it was about 9 months ago. I did a presentation at a conference in Bangkok, and it was on regulator acceptance is what it really was. And I've worked through regulator acceptance, and I've given people, knowledge and information and guidance on how to be successful in regulator acceptance. And it's really just a process of working through. It's really just of informing them about what it is that you're thinking about doing, understanding the regulations and what your own requirements are, working with them to ensure that they know, how you're managing the process. And then it's really just, moving them through the point where they're comfortable with the successful outcome of what it is that you're doing. All right. Keeping them informed along the way. And I can tell you without a question that nearly every regulator in the world is moving forward in these areas. Hey, I had one in Latin America recently, which they were concerned. The airline was concerned of whether they would be able to get the regulator to buy in because the requirements were actually quite stringent. And I'll tell you what happened is that we worked together with them to create some alternatives, and they presented those alternatives to the regulator, and the regulator liked them, and they said it's okay if you implement in that way. And so, we can come up with creative ways to be able to create success and get approval, in the end. And really the end goal is to be able to create a safe, efficient process that has high quality and can be reliable. And that's really what we're looking for. It doesn't have to be a piece of paper with a signature on it. We can create reliability through that. And so, the regulators I find around the world are very accepting for what we're doing. All right. So let's address the next one. So I have a question here that says, is this really all virtual? Does this really work? Okay, well, let me just say this, is that you have a couple of options, is that you can spend 30 or 40 years in the industry and you can go learn all these things on your own, and you can do this on your own. You can, all right? You're just not going to move forward as fast as someone who leverages the knowledge of people around them. It's not a matter of someone being capable. It's a matter of what's the most efficient way to create success. And that's why people go out and hire knowledgeable consultants, and pay $2.2 million to bring them in to be able to create success. But in this particular case, what we've done is we're leveraging, technology. I mean, you're sitting on a webinar right now, and, you're watching a video, and I'm communicating with people in all corners of the earth right now. I mean, in what world could we do that in the past? It wasn't that long ago that this wasn't even possible. The technology didn't exist, or the bandwidth didn't exist, or it wasn't reliable. I mean, it would drop off, repeatedly. I mean, this broadcast has not dropped off one time, during our broadcast here today. So, we found ourselves in an environment that's extremely reliable, and the ability to be able to do something virtual, has become a reality today. All right. And I try to hold all my meetings in video. And the reason that I do is because I want to be able to, see somebody's face. I want to see their body language. I want to be able to talk to them and communicate visually. We're visual people, and we want to be able to see things. And so, I try to, where it's possible, to be able to do things visually. And we've applied the same principles to this program at this point, the Digital Transformation Accelerator program. And you have you have face-to-face access to experts, through video, and it's interactive, and it's become very, very effective, for us to be able to do that. And think about it. If you just saved paying for one trip, all right, just one trip, one consultant trip to come visit you, I can guarantee you that it's going to save you more than $2,997, all right? And so just think about it, is that if you wanted to access one consultant, for one visit, you're going to pay more in their time and in their travel than what the cost of this program is at this point. So, virtual is really good, and we find it to be extremely successful and effective in conducting business these days. All right, I got another question here I'm looking at, and it says, hey, this is going to be too hard. It's been too hard in the past. All right, okay. All right, well, that's a good question, all right? And all I can say is that, what you need to do is you need to work with people who have done this before. You look around you and people are being successful all around you. That's why you're seeing a technology adoption curve that's going up so rapidly. And the value that the economy is getting from that is tremendous. And so it is hard. And anything that gives benefit, can sometimes be hard. But what we've done is that we've brought the knowledge and expertise in from people that have done it before. We've put it into a process and we've made it readily accessible to you so that you can actually make this tremendously easier than what it would be otherwise. All right. And so it's a great opportunity to be able to create success by leveraging the knowledge of people that have done it before and have been successful at it and have been doing it for many years and have created profit from it, for you to be able to latch onto that and to be able to have the same opportunity without having to spend, 30 or 40 years doing it. All right. You might be new in business. I was talking to some guys last week. They were brand new in business. They've been in the airline industry for, a year, I think was what they said at this point. And they're on a long road ahead to be able to understand aviation. And they've learned a lot of things, quickly, very quickly. But, I'm just saying is that, you just can't learn in 1 year what it is that somebody learned over 30 to 40 years if they've really engaged themselves in it. And so I've been passionate about aviation and passionate about digital and engaging in digital transformation. And so we have a lot of knowledge to be able to share. We have a lot of ideas and a lot of successes to share and a lot of case studies where we've created success. And you can have access to that for less than the cost of one plane ticket. All right. And that's how we turn this around and make it not too hard. Right. Okay. The next question here says, I'm not sure I know where to start this. All right. Or where to start. Okay. Well, the journey starts at the beginning. All right. And the beginning is that, we cast a vision and we work together at the beginning of the program to cast a vision. And we work with you to be able to identify, how do you do that? How do you identify what the key performance indicators are? I said the 4 cornerstones were belief, and they were people, processes, and technology. And so, if you start with the 4 cornerstones and begin to paint a picture of the future and begin to implement on those 4 cornerstones, which we walk you through during the program in the process, you will be successful. I mean, we bring you to the very beginning. We walk you through the process. We tell you what the next step should be. And if you've done this before, then what we're really doing is we're really just accelerating your process. And if you use the processes, that are there, you will be successful. Whether you're applying them to your own business to be able to grow your business, or whether you're applying them to a customer to understand their business so you can sell more, or whether you're an airline or an MRO that wants to implement technology, it all begins at the beginning of the process. All right. It's all going down that journey to be able to create success in the process. All right. All right. Okay. I got one more question here. I'm going to take a look at this other computer I have, see if there's any other questions that are on this computer. I got 2 computers here in front of me. Questions, Q&A, looking at the questions and open questions that exist. And okay, now over here, I got one that says status quo. All right. What if I want to stay status quo? I don't know. That's not really an option. Where in the world can we stay, status quo? Where can we really stay in one spot? I mean, the world is changing all around us. The world is turning every day. The world turns and the sun comes up and the sun goes down. And it's not possible to stay status quo. I'll just say this, is that I traveled around the world for almost, I started traveling in the early 90s. And I've been traveling internationally, ever since then. And I can tell you with all certainty that there's a lot of places around the world that are further behind. than others. Today there's certain pockets where people have done a lot of digital transformation, but everybody's catching up. All right. There are places that are in different positions. Look, there won't be any two journeys that will be the same. All right. And people will be at different places. There is never two people that are at the exact same identical place. All right. Because we all started in different places. We all have different people. We all have different requirements. We all have different experiences. But one thing is certain is that there will be no status quo. All right. And if there is status quo, just look around you. Look at companies like, look at the hotel industry and look what Airbnb has done to it. Look at the taxi cab industry and what Uber has done to it. Look at what's happening with the drone industry, today. Look at what's happening with solar, like what we talked about. Look what's happening in the aviation industry. You look at all these industries, and there are different rates of acceleration that are occurring. Some are moving faster than others. All right. And I heard recently that some of those aviation, some of those electronic businesses, some of those disruptive electronic businesses have made such a difference in the industry that they've created more revenue in just a couple of years than some of these businesses have created, in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. That's how fast the rate of adoption is occurring, with technology. If we look at what's happened with Uber, for example, or, other things, is that it's amazing what digital technology has really done. And so all we've done is we've taken a traditional old world kind of an approach, which was consulting, really, and we've applied technology to it. And we've made it available to a broader number of people. And we've given you the ability to be able to learn online and to be able to grasp that knowledge and to gain the experience that exists from many people that have been in the industry for many, many years, without having to spend, 30 or 40 years doing it. All right. And, I wish somebody would have come to me, 30 or 40 years ago and showed me how to be able to move forward with digital transformation. But the reality is that, like I told you earlier, is that it wasn't completely possible yet. All the factors didn't exist to be able to create success. And as I've traveled the world, I can tell you right now is that all the factors are in place to be able to create success. I cannot think of a single thing that exists out there that's preventing us from creating success. And, and I would challenge you to tell me one thing that is preventing us from moving forward with digital transformation in almost every area, of business in aviation at this point. And, but you might be thinking in the back of your mind, well, money, we don't have the money to do it. All right. Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you is that digital transformation transforms your business. You have to rethink what you're doing. All right. What if we could reduce the cost of your operations? What if we could reduce the cost of your operations 5 times more than what you pay to implement certain technology? All right. Then the value of implementing technology would be dramatically more than what you're even paying today. It's just a matter of taking the first step and moving forward and grasping that technology and that approach, having that vision and that belief to go forward and to create success. And, you can be successful. And you can create new growth. You can create new revenue. You can get more leads. You can fill up your pipeline. You can create that digital transformation in the airline. I worked with airlines where we did massive, looks at disruption management and operations management and massive portfolios and implementation of different pieces. And it's just the same process, but being applied in a different environment. And so, you cannot stay status quo. You need to move forward. You need to be able to be moving forward with success. And the value of doing that is far greater than ever before. And our ability to be able to achieve success and to gain the return on investment and put together a business case and actually achieve that is so tremendous. It's unbelievable. I mean, I'll just say it one more time is that I worked with some maintenance and repair organizations, some MROs recently, and the amount of value that they got was just unbelievable, compared to the cost of technology. So I worked with one MRO recently, and by implementing technology, they were able to get a 24% reduction in their labor by implementing a certain technology. They were able to shorten their cycle times, dramatically, and so much so that they were able to start new bays and not even hire new people. And so, it can have really a dramatic effect. And that same organization, they were able to achieve new revenue because they had more space available in their hangar. And so the combination of savings and of reducing the operational costs and achieving new revenue, these are creative ways that we need to look at business cases. And these aren't fake business cases. These are real business cases that are happening in the industry all around you. And if you're a business which isn't leveraging that, you're falling behind fast, and people are becoming more profitable than you, and you're losing out on that. And listen, if you're a business that offers a piece of software, and if you're not helping a customer to be able to achieve those successes, then you're losing out on sales. That's all there is to it. And so you need to learn how to better understand your customer and how to better understand what makes them successful and help them to be able to build a business case so that they can be successful. And if you do that, you're going to find that you're able to sell into that organization more and greater than ever before. And then you'll have the opportunity to be able to scale your business by, getting greater exposure through technology and through social media and managing leads through implementation of technology and filtering of those leads, using technology. And so you'll be able to scale your business more rapidly and be able to sell more, and you'll be able to create more profitability. So, I firsthand experienced the ability to be able to do that, is to be able to acquire new customers, and you'll be able to create new revenue and the ability to be able to launch a business faster than ever before. And so these are all things which have tremendous value. And so if you consider the value of those, to the cost, to the investment, it's not really a cost, it's an investment. If you look at this investment of $29.97 and what the investment is to your business and what the outcome can be, it's barely the cost of, like I said, an airline ticket. And the risk reward that comes from implementing of such things is so big that the investment that's required to achieve that, is very, very small. And so, as we're nearing the end of our 30 minutes here, we're coming to the end of 30 minutes. We have 2 minutes left. You still have an opportunity to go to order.digitalaircraft.org and take the opportunity to be able to jump on this program for only $29.97. And so I encourage you to don't miss this opportunity. This is an opportunity that you haven't had before, and you need to jump on that. And so we're offering this special discount here today at $29.97. And so we've wiped out those previous prices that we had that were starting at the beginning of the year. At the beginning of the year, we had a price which was at $49.97, and that was our special discount. And now we're offering this at this time because what we really want to do is we want to get more people on the program. We want to get people jumped in. We want people in the industry to be accelerating digital transformation. One thing is for certain is that I have been passionate about digital transformation, nearly all of my adult life, and I still am. And I'm passionate about aviation. And by putting those together, and looking at the factors that exist today in the industry, there's really nothing keeping us from being successful. And we've proven it by working with people in the industry to do that. And so I and my business partners, we're passionate about helping you, and we're giving you this opportunity. And I want to tell you is that, jump on, go to that website, order.digitalaircraft.org, and, jump on this program. And for just $29.97, you are going to make a difference in your business. We are going to be there with you to help move you through this process, and you are going to be successful. I know it, and I am absolutely convinced that you will be successful. And what I say at the top there, don't forget, is that we offer 30-day, 100% satisfaction, full money-back guarantee. And so the reality is if you're not satisfied in 30 days, it costs you nothing. So the question is do you have any reason that you would not want to do this? Do you want to be successful? Do you want to make more money? Do you want to create success? Do you want to be happier with what you're doing? Do you want your business to be more successful? Jump on this and do this. Hey, listen, I'm going to say fair winds and following seas to you, and jump on the program. Looks like that's the end. We're going to finish up the webinar now, and I'm going to say goodbye. Fair winds and following seas to you, and have a great day. Jump on the webinar. Jump on the website, order.digitalaircraft.org, and jump on the program with us. I look forward to seeing you. Bye.